23rd, 2024. Counselor Andrus.
Here.
Walden.
Here.
Wolverton.
Here.
Sims.
Here.
And Nelsdale.
Okay, so we got 4, and we have a quorum. I'll begin with a motion to dispense the reading and approve the minutes from September 9th.
Second.
Wolverton, Gwaltney, with the second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, that passes 4-0. Okay, as per the last meeting, I'm gonna hand this agenda over to Counselor Gwaltney.
Thank you, Councilor Andrus. Under old business 290824, request for consideration to de-annex property at 2305 Montevallo Road, coming from Montevallo Partners and President White. Item was carried over last meeting for additional details. How would we like to pick this one up? Do y'all want to provide a report, or shall we? So to catch everybody up, this is the piece of property that sits behind the Oil Change Express that we had left last time, discussing whether the city wanted to receive some sort of payment. Although I don't believe there was really any tax base associated with this as it currently was, because it's not developed. There might have been a moderate amount, but we left it there last time. There was some discussion of the easement, but I believe we wanted to decouple that from the discussion because of sewer main issues, right? So we'll leave that. I think we'll leave that be. So we're primarily just discussing approving de-annexing this property, and if any payment is requested.
Mr. Courtney, can I point on that?
Yes, sir.
I think it is legal to decouple it.
Yeah.
No, I wanted to clarify too, we're not
Yeah.
decoupling the de-annexation, just
Yeah.
decoupling the
It is
sale.
foolish.
The sale, I'm sorry. I
Yeah, the
misspoke.
de-annexation would be the
Yeah.
alley and the
That,
park.
yeah, my bad. I misspoke.
That's okay.
I've had the discussions with Charlie Beavers and her about that.
So we would still de-annex it, correct? But it would not be a sale of the right of way. Did I put that correctly? Okay, my apologies for misspeaking. Councilor Wolf.
I would think that we'd just want to sell all of it and clean slate.
We don't own the other property.
The right of
It's just
way?
located, well, we own the right of way, we don't own the property they wanna de-annex, they own that. But it's located in Homewood. But it makes no sense to me to de-annex property and then maintain an easement that goes nowhere.
That's what I'm trying, yeah, sorry.
So
That's what I'm.
you can handle it a number of different ways, but it needs to be handled simultaneously.
But once we de-annex the property out of the city of Homewood, would it not be up to the developer whether,
Well, you de-annexing the property, not the right of way.
property?
No, we could de-annex the right of way too, couldn't we? Couldn't we do both?
Yeah, if you wanna buy it, I wouldn't, I mean, there's gonna have to be some consideration paid, in my opinion, if I'm negotiating.
So I think, and I'm on this committee, so I don't know why I hesitate to speak, but, so again, just to try to rehash where we were from 2 weeks ago. So the property that's being de-annexed is currently zoned institutional, so we have not in the past collected property tax revenue for that reason. So it has future value if the zoning would change. However, you know, that's one consideration. The other consideration is the easement or the right of way which accesses the property. I kind of, to Mr. Kendrick's point, and not to speak for him, but I do think that we need to handle them at the same time, because if the property is de-annexed, and then that's kind of our leverage in having them deal with the right of way now, because in the future, if it's no longer in Homewood and we're maintaining that road, then I don't see why they have any reason or to proceed with buying it at that point if they've already got their property.
Just to clarify, there's no road that's being maintained. It is basically just the easement the power line sits on, and I believe there's some Jefferson County.
It is a right of way that we own.
Yeah, but there's not a road there to maintain.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's a liability. I mean, it's our responsibility.
No,
Yeah.
actually, we have a recorded right of way use agreement with you guys
Okay.
that makes it the developer's
We did that to
responsibility.
accommodate your development.
Yeah, so
we
y'all
never
shouldn't have to come
anticipated
in and
we
do
would at the same
anything.
time de-annex the property.
And Mike Mr. Kendrick may correct me, but I think once y'all de-annex it, it's no longer your responsibility. Listen, I mean, I get where y'all are coming from totally.
Listen,
I'm just
why would
asking
we
if
wanna
we.
de-annex it other than sell it to you? Same-
Well,
You accomplish the same thing.
Yeah, and maybe a sale is appropriate. look at whether the developer can own it, or whether it's better remains as a, right-of-way owned by Jefferson County or owned by Mountain Brook. And if the developer could own it, I'm sure they would, but my understanding is there may be a sewer main that runs under it, preventing us from owning it. So if this is just making sure that.
You would have the same rights that you currently have, because you came to us and asked us to accommodate the development by giving you a right-of-way right to use that property, so I assume you'd use it for the same purpose as whatever's under it.
Yeah,
You
but
would now.
Jefferson County will let you have a easement or a right-of-way use agreement, where sometimes they won't let you own in fee simple if they have a main. I just want some time to run down whether we can own it. If this is about payment, I think that the developer can still make payment to the city for de-annexing the parcel and the right-of-way. I think the payment can still happen now. Nobody's trying to delay the payment. It's just whether or not we wanna have this surplus property sale tied up with the de-annexation.
I guess maybe I was confused, but I thought part of pushing it to this evening was so that there could be some discussion about a cost and a price, and it sounds like we're kind of exactly where we were a couple weeks ago.
I think the challenge that exists is, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Kendrick, is I don't know that there's a way to value the property. Well,
There's a
today.
way to value property. Certainly there is. Every property has value, a lot of it's based on what you think it's worth.
But the parcel is not ours, it's the taxes.
Right.
Future taxes, as you guys would put. Alright, any
And
other?
there's certainly value to you guys de-annexing it, whether we take title to the right of way or whether we leave it in ask it to be annexed into Mountain Brook or ask it to be taken over by Jefferson County. There's certainly value to the developer in you guys agreeing to de-annex the parcel and the right of way, just because it creates uniformity. I mean, this parcel was never treated as part of Homewood. I mean, I heard somebody say, it was zoned institutional, and that's correct. It was zoned institutional by the city of Mountain Brook, because everybody has always assumed it was in Mountain Brook. Actually, now, I think Hannah left.
But it's not Mountain Brook, or you wouldn't be here.
Right, but, that's my point, is that there's been confusion for over 50 years about whether this parcel was in Mountain Brook
Straighten
or
that out.
Homewood.
We're not
So,
confused.
So there's value to that, and I think the developer's willing to, pay for the benefit it would receive from having this all be, in one parcel, even if we don't go through with the surplus sale at this time, until we can figure out if Mountain Brook is gonna annex it and keep it a public right of way.
Can you figure that out and the attorneys get together and
Well,
make
the first step is to find out if Homewood will de-annex, and then the next step is to go to Jefferson County or Mountain Brook and say, will you leave it as public right of way, or, I thought the point was for Homewood to get rid of that right of way at the same time that it gets rid of the parcel. And I think we're all still on the same page with that. It's just, what's the value, y'all want some, the
Well,
city
we
wants
de-annex it,
some
goes into the
payment for
county,
that de-annexation.
And then
I
you'd
think
have to
that's-
annex it into Mountain Brook.
I'm sorry, Mr. Kendrick, I didn't hear you.
If we de-annex it, it would then become part of the county, and you'd have to then annex it into Mountain Brook.
Right, cause we'll have to annex that parcel into Mountain Brook anyway, to make it all contiguous. So we would do that at the same time. But this is step one.
I just recommend you don't divide the steps too far. Because you get too far away from one transaction, it loses its value than the other.
So, to be clear,
Let's come to an agreement about what we're gonna pay for it.
okay, so
Then we can work it out.
we can find a dollar value that the committee feels good with, and then we can work towards the annexation of both pieces.
Good question to ask.
Is that correct?
We can.
Is that amenable? Okay, so I heard questions from this end of the table?
I
No?
just had a question about, part of my confusion too is just really being able to see what we're talking about. I don't know that I've looked at a survey, for example, and either of the right of way or the piece of property, because I think that would be beneficial when we're progressing that discussion.
Mr. Ross, can you pull up the GIS, the county GIS tax map, parcel map? 'Cause it'll show kind of the overview of where the,
Do you not have the easement we originally gave you?
Yeah, or we have maps like in Alta that.
There's a map attached to it, and it's yellow, it's
You
colored in
don't have that.
yellow.
That letter that we wrote has that map attached to it, is that what you're asking?
No, the document where we previously gave you the right to use the right of way, as a part of your development.
Yeah, that does have that
Well, I
map
can go
attached as
get it.
well. Do y'all have the letter we wrote requesting this?
I don't.
I have not seen it.
Put up there?
I mean,
I'll go get it.
that's,
We could, yeah, and pretty.
That's really helpful to see kind
yeah.
of.
Brian, did you catch what I was talking about with the county GIS map?
Yeah, but, I mean, I found it, but I'm not finding Jefferson County. It hasn't been the county.
I
Hang on,
can
I'm gonna
send
keep
you a
looking.
link to it, hold on.
Brian, can I come look with you?
Sure.
And just, I know it's obvious to all of us because we've lived with it, the right of way we're talking about is 10 feet wide.
Okay.
It's not really a, a
Yeah.
major.
And that's, I mean, that's exactly to the point too. I think it's hard to make decisions when you don't have the
I
full
mean, I'm
picture.
just imagining that it's going along the power lines there, you know. I don't know.
Yeah. So I guess since
I thought about this last week after the meeting, trying to determine how to estimate future tax value, or future tax value to the city of Homewood, the benefit that we would be foregoing.
$3 million.
I honestly don't understand like an accurate way to calculate that, you know, well, I mean, I don't, you would have to, I mean, we're gonna have city services, if it stays in Homewood, it would go into the equation, so if it is outside of the city of Homewood, we don't have, okay, so here, before I finish my statement, that strip going up to Montevallo Road, that is the current right of way,
okay.
and then.
So between the blue
yeah.
and the dash?
Correct, cause that's Homewood on the left, and that's the city limits between the two cities. Mount Brook on the right. So the parcel that is in question is basically what looks like, you know, the side of Texas right there.
Mm-hmm.
To the dash
The
line.
light blue highlighted
Yeah.
section.
But what Ms. Sellers was saying was everyone thought this was in Mount Brook because it's one parcel, is that correct?
Yes, and it's
Yeah.
been one parcel since the church was built, at least
So-
since then.
On the tax map, normally you would be able to click on that, and it'll be a separate sliver because it's in Homewood, but it's not broken up like that on the tax map. So what we were saying is determining the value via some form or fashion when there's no standard to determine the value. So if anybody has a number they're thinking about, throw it out.
$10.
Alter said
It's
3.
lower than 3.
Yeah,
I said 3.
Oh.
we're not selling the property, we're estimating future taxes.
It's a residential town.
See, I had this conversation when we met, please make us an offer, and I hadn't really heard anything. But that was kind of a little,
I mean, I'll throw something out. I mean, we'd like to move forward. I mean, this is a 10-foot strip. There's certainly value.
that's what
At the
we've
end of
already
the day,
given them, but right
we
to
end up
use
with a lot in
in
Homewood.
2022.
I mean, I think the developer would be willing to pay, $10,000 to get this behind them. I mean, this is an alley that's never been opened, never been used, and never generated taxes for the city. And it will require city services to go down there to that lot if we don't de-annex it, which is, fine, but there's value both ways, I think. There's value to not serving that lot. There's value to not having kids from that lot go into the school system. But, there's value for my client to have it all in the same municipality.
Committee?
The current proposed development does not actually build a structure on the lot, or it does?
It does. It would have a single family home on it.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Alright,
Procedurally then, for the yellow highlighted property, which leads to the property that's in question to be de-annexed, then even though it would maintain right-of-way, can this, for the sake of Jefferson County services and other utilities, can the city of Homewood vacate that right-of-way?
De-annex, not
Yeah.
vacate. De-annex would be better than it goes with
Yeah.
the rest of it,
So we would de-annex the right-of-way,
and the parcel at the same time.
okay, because it
and
would
that's
make,
what we were trying to roll those up together last
Yeah.
week.
okay,
We're
So-
we're simply asking not to get the deed at the moment, just de-annex. We just don't wanna take a deed at the moment until we figure out whether it should just remain public right of way under someone else's jurisdiction, or whether we can take a deed to it. That's all we're asking you not to roll into this, you know, item, is the actual conveyance of the property to us.
Okay. So, there,
I'd actually carry it over so we can have more discussion.
okay, so there was a offer made of 10,000 for the property, just in case the committee or the room didn't catch that.
I mean,
Preface.
it
I would say no.
sounded like I think my client would, but it didn't sound definitive. I mean,
No, there's an offer on the table for $10,000. Sorry, Mr. Wolverton, I didn't make that clear, you're right.
Thoughts, anybody? Members of the committee? Well, there's only 3 of us that can discuss it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still trying to understand the situation better, why this is not brought together concurrently. I know it's not the desire of the requester, but I mean, I'm still trying to understand that, so, I mean, I'm still.
I think we are considering it together.
Yeah.
Both pieces. What she was saying is they just don't wanna, I guess, receive the deed now. They wanna give Mountain Brook and the county the option to accept this as right of way.
Well, quite frankly, the property that we, being de-annexed, is gonna have value to it. Maybe you never had it before, but it's gonna have value. Whatever the property tax is for the improvements. So we're giving up property tax
Future property tax
and
value.
real estate, the right of way.
and I guess I'm still thinking that we should do what I thought we were doing last time and carry it over, allow some legal discussions and potential offers to handle all of it together. So that we can start with a clean slate and have a clear, concise discussion on what's viable that's in front of us.
I mean, I would like to see the letter that was sent, look it all over, because I think that's, in between not having that information that obviously exists makes it hard to progress a discussion, so I'm good with carrying it over.
Okay. Yeah, it seems that the will of the committee is to carry this item over for further discussion. So 290824 is carried over. With that,
Without, objection?
I'll give you back your.
Yeah, without objection, we will adjourn.
Ruth?